Gavin says, we need players with cup experience. I want to dig into that a little bit because I think it's a little bit nonsensical.
I also think the others have that.
Ekholm.
Brett Kulak.
Sure, Brett Kulak did it in the bubble year.
Yeah.
But they've been on a couple of long playoff runs now. The Oilers have the experience of losing in the conference final.
Mm-hmm.
The Oilers have the experience now of getting bounced in the second round. They've lost the eventual cup champions twice. The idea that there are these magical lessons you get, and when people talk cup experience, they almost always talk about guys who won the cup.
Mm-hmm.
Did Florida not get as much experience as Vegas this year?
You could argue they got maybe a little bit more because they learned from the hard experience.
Yeah. I don't love the whole, you need to go get guys with cup experience because once you've played in the playoffs, you know what the playoffs are about. There's a little bit of something sure of like the grind of getting to round 3 or 4, but this Oilers team's been to round 3.
Yeah.
Came within a couple games of getting there a few times now, 2017, this last year as well. I think the idea of like, oh man, you need to go get guys who've got rings, who can sit in the room and be like, rah, look, I won with the Hawks in 2012 or whatever, and I just don't really buy that all that much.
I do think those guys have a lot of value. I would like to put that in there. Like, I think adding Duncan Keith last season was beneficial.
But he's not. But he's not just a dude with rings. He's a Hall of Famer.
Sure, he's another level of that, I suppose. But like, I think having those guys with the experience, like I can't remember what game it was. Maybe it was after game 1. Or maybe it was just in general throughout that run. Like the players were just like, yeah, you could just look down the bench and there was Keith, and he just seemed not fazed by any situation. I think that is good to have. But like you said, like it's been 2 years now where this team has had expectations to do very well, and they've won 3 playoff rounds now in 2 years. That's good experience.
Tyler Mulick says you need guys that have won. Look at the Golden Knights. They had 13, 14 guys who that have won previously. Had they?
Did they?
Petrangelo?
They
had guys who had gotten to the dance. Stevenson had won.
Barbashev,
I guess. Kessel didn't play,
Martinez.
Yeah, okay. They had a handful of guys that had won. McNabb may have won.
Brady McNabb. What did they? Are they going from the Kings?
Yeah, wasn't he a King when they won?
Yeah, but he might have been like his 7th defenseman.
Yeah. Okay, so if you want to use the Golden Knights as one example of like guys that have won, and you in a way need to like remove like those Lightning teams that won because they were going back to back to back, whatever, right?
Well, the first year they did it. Like, who did they have? Patrick Maroon,
I guess.
Like, really, like it's just like sometimes
the Washington Capitals in 2018 had. I don't think anybody that had won a Stanley Cup.
What year was that one? 2018.
Yeah, I was just looking at their roster. I'm like, none of those guys stood out as like cup winners. The Blues, when they won, didn't have a ton of like cup winners. They ran a rookie goalie. Like, I don't know. I just think that's one of those narratives that's a little overblown in the NHL. It's like you need guys that have won before, and it's like I don't know.
You need guys. It's not about
playoff experience.
Sure. You can't just go into the season being like, well, we're cup contenders and nobody's been to the playoffs before.
Yeah, but like my argument is the Oilers have Evander Kane's been on playoff runs now with Edmonton, with San Jose. McDavid and Draisaitl have been on playoff runs, proven they can perform in the playoffs, all of that stuff. Zach Hyman's now been on playoff runs. Go down the list of all the important pieces. Darnell Nurse has now been on playoff runs. Matthias Ekholm's been to a cup final before. These guys have been on playoff runs. And I think you can't just go into the offseason being like, we need guys who got rings on their finger. Because you don't.
I'm looking at this team, and I don't know if there's anybody. Maybe Matt Niskanen?
No, he was like a flyer and stuff.
Wasn't he a Penguin?
Okay, yeah. He might have won with the Pens.
Other than that, like I'm not really seeing anyone.
Nope, I'm not either.
Jay Beagle.
Brooks Orpik would have won with the Pens, so they had like a couple.
Yeah, so maybe 1 or 2. Okay, sure. I mean, either way, like it kind of just is what it is. I think that the recipe for playoff success is certain positional players more than experience. Mm-hmm. You need that great defenseman. You need your offensive guys. You need a goalie to get hot for 2 months. Mike McKenna on Daily Faceoff Live the other day said he's not even sure Aiden Hill is a starting goaltender in the NHL yet, right?
Yeah.
But he just got hot at the right time, and the team played great in front of him, and it benefited everyone.
You could have called every team in the NHL last summer and said, I'll give you 2 first-round picks to take Sergei Bobrovsky's contract. And they all would have hung up the phone with you. The talk in January was that guy was going to have an injury and might not play again.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Coincidentally.
I think another thing is that we don't count the luck factor enough.
Oh, big time.
The Florida Panthers were 59 seconds away from losing Game 7.
Yeah.
And they got a lucky bounce. Brandon Montour scored, and then they won it right away in OT. Right?